Hey, so I'm watching one of my all-time favorite movies, Star Wars A New Hope, on 4K on the Panasonic UB820, and I just keep feeling like it's extremely dark. The HDR on here is incredibly dark. And so that's one of the reasons that I actually bought the Panasonic player, among many others, is that I wanted the more flexibility with the HDR in situations like this, where I think this movie's way too dark. Now, I've never had to adjust this setting before because I feel like the standard setting, which if you look right here under optimum HDR adjustment, under the dynamic range at 0, where it says 0 is recommended to enjoy the originally intended image of the source. So I always leave it at 0 because my TV is professionally calibrated, and then I just let the player play the original image off the disc. And by the way, this is just for HDR10 discs because Dolby Vision does its own thing and it looks fantastic. But on these settings, the dynamic range adjustment on 0, all other HDR10 movies have looked correct and perfect and outstanding, and I've been very happy with them. Except Star Wars, which is, in my opinion, way too dim. Like, details are actually lost at this point. So I started messing with this setting, and once you select it, it goes up in the bottom. And again, this is just my phone, so this isn't going to be an accurate thing. This is just showing you my journey of adjusting the settings. So as I pushed it up, like 1 and 2, I didn't feel like did anything. But once I got into above 4, I started feeling like it made a difference. And at 6, I liked it. And then 8 was probably the best. So I was waffling between 6 and 8 of the HDR dynamic range adjustment. I thought made it look natural. I think anything above that, it started looking too bright. And again, my phone is not an accurate depiction of that. But then I remembered that I was using the UB9000 or 900 remote, the replacement remote that I got on Amazon, because I like it a lot better than the UB820 remote that it comes with. But because I've been using this remote so much, and this remote doesn't have this button, this little one has this button right there, the HDR setting button. So then I was like, oh, okay, I like that. I'm going to try that. So I put the dynamic range adjustment back to 0. And then I was like, all right, let's quit out of here. And I'm just going to use this cool fancy HDR button right here. So I'm like, boom. And then it has this big thing. And it's like, hey, all those changes you made, they're going to get undone. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. So here we go. And again, it's saying standard is the original intended image, which on every other HDR10 movie looks fantastic, except for Star Wars. So then I started adjusting this, and I got it back up to light environment, and I was like, actually, that looks great. And I was like, decided that I should go back into the other setting, and this is where I started getting kind of confused. So on the other remote, I pushed the video setting button, and then I go to the optimum HDR adjustment, and then I was like, wait a minute, why is it back on 8? I just changed it back so that I could mess with the other setting. I'm like, what's going on here? Anyway, long story short, these settings are 2 different ways to get to the same setting. So this HDR button is just a shortcut to get to the dynamic range button. So I think this makes a huge difference on this movie. So I think light environment brings the correct level of details back into the picture, because I think stuff was just getting lost in the dark, and I just felt like I was watching the movie with like a hood on. Right from the opening scene, I just felt like it was way too dark, and it didn't look good. Between standard, it just looks like the lights are not on the proper brightness in the hallway, and people are going to be bumping into stuff. And then back to light mode, it actually looks good, details are good, and it looks like a professional environment. So this has just been a little tip for the Panasonic UB820, which I love, about one of my absolute favorite movies on a so-so 4K, but I wanted to at least enjoy it in the best way possible. So whether you're using the original remote that comes with the UB820, with the annoying Netflix button right by the stop button, and the nice, convenient HDR button, or the Amazon replacement remote, the UB820 is awesome, and the fact that you can adjust the HDR on the fly for your room environment or for a weird disc. Let me know if you think the A New Hope disc is way too dark. I think it's way too dark. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it on standard for everything else, but I think every time I watch this movie, I'm gonna ramp it up to Lightroom setting. Anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any other questions about the UB820. I have a question about the UB820. How do you turn off the stupid time off thing so when I pause it and leave it, it doesn't shut itself off? I can't find it. Anyway, let me know if you can do that, and let me know if you have any other questions or stuff you want me to try. So, yeah, this has just been an impromptu little hint about the UB820 and A New Hope. See you in the next one. Bye.